I love my work, like deeply love my work. Like I love getting up and going to work. I love interacting with our staff and volunteers. I love interacting with our communities. The excitement my brain gets in developing a program, there's nothing close to it for me. I like leadership, but I realized that maybe people don't see me as a leader because of my culture or community or because of my gender.
What were you thinking? Was it just more like men felt more superior, more suitable for the role? I put a clear white man for the role for an ED for such an organization.
We are historically socialized and groomed to see certain people in power. That's just the reality.
Hello, welcome to Unfiltered with Mariat. I am here to have real conversations that inspire, challenge, and connect us. Together, we will dive into stories that matter, build authentic connections, and uncover strategies to grow capital, whether it's financial, social, or personal. No filters, no holding back, just impactful discussion with incredible change makers and visionaries. Let's grow together. Join me. Unfiltered with Mariat. So, who do we have here today? This is so exciting, and I tell you, Anoop, I feel so honored, and I'm super excited that I have to have this moment with you. So, welcome to Unfiltered with Mariat, where we have great conversation, build connection, and grow capital. So, I'm looking forward to all the three. Great conversation with you today. But before we dig into, I'm sure the audience want to know, who is Anoop? For most people I know in Vancouver, you're an household name, and congratulations on your Power 50 award. But I'll let you tell the audience who Anoop is.
Well, thank you for having me. Yes. It's a privilege. We've been trying to plan this for a while. And surprisingly, it's my last day before my leave. So it feels, like a lovely wrap up before I head off on a little bit of a different journey. Oh, it's a big question. Who am I? Oh, I'm still figuring out parts of it, I tell you.
It's okay to figure.
But my name is Anoop Gill. I use she and her pronouns. I'm the executive director at Q-Munity, BC's Queer Trans and Two-Spirit Resource Center. My name means to be unique.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's a Punjabi Sikh name, and it means like to describe something that's different and or doesn't quite have a place in its uniqueness. I have grown into that name, and I love my work. In particular, I love nonprofits.
Yeah. I see that.
I think it's such a beautiful sector.
You're good at it.
Thank you so much. I think it's a beautiful sector. I love service work. I love humanitarian work. I hope my life's work continues to be in service of people.
Mm-hmm. That's huge though. And you've just summed up exactly what we as human beings should be doing. Humanitarian work first, right? So, that connection piece and all of that. Being an executive director, I always ask when I see female powerhouse, sitting down there, like, I love to see so many women on top, like, not, like in the boardroom, making this key decision, and, because it's talent, so let's talk about gender equity.
Okay.
And then you being the ED and all of that, the journey being there, and with that into gender equity for us, and now, you represent your representation to so many other women seeing you on this platform, because there's so many other women who wants to be AD, right?
I hope so.
So many, of course, yeah. So, expand more on that for us. So what was the journey like to becoming an executive director for Q-Munity?
I've been kind of like dabbling in my years of whether it's been like school or work around what gender equity is. I used to sit before on my leave on the Gender Equity Advisory for British Columbia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the province is doing some really great things around policy development and kind of like understanding the impacts of gender equity, whether it's around work and employment or whether it's around sex work. I think it's, we're really pivoting to understand that women often experience systems differently, whether it's around getting paid less to do the same job. Getting less recognition, and also being boxed into certain jobs because of our gender.
Stereotype.
Yeah. I always saw EDs our CEOs, and especially like my sector or adjacent to my sector, as like predominantly white men. And I remember at first it was kind of like you feel a sense of insecurity, like, wow, they must be so amazing. They must have so many great skills. And the closer I got in proximity to my job to these like men of power, the more I realized some of them saw people differently. They saw power differently. They really put themselves first when it came to recognition and acknowledgement. And a lot of their success was because they were propped up by people. And then I thought, oh, maybe I can do this. And I like leadership, but I realized that maybe people don't see me as a leader because of my culture or community or because of my gender. And so there are, certain tools that you have to utilize when you're in places where your men are predominantly expected. And then there are things that like my womanhood or my experience as being a woman is actually a big advantage. For example, I tend to listen more to people rather than having my own agenda sometimes. I want to be collaborative. To me, a good strategy is around bringing more voices to the table. I don't like making unilateral decisions unless I absolutely have to. And I think what I want is for other women, if I can do a small courtesy to all of the women that are interested, is like mentor each other, work with each other, find the men that are looking to support me. When I came to Q-Munity, this was my first ED gig and I was nervous.
Of course, everybody will be.
Yeah. And there was moments where I was like, oh, can I do this? And surprisingly, when you ask people for help and I think you're genuine about it and you're interested, I think the people who are interested in mentoring you or being gracious towards you will say, hey, let me give you those additional 10 minutes. And I've been so lucky at Q to have really amazing, strong men support me, really amazing, strong women, some folks that I have learned what, different gender equity looks like in different spaces, some queer and trans folks that have given me guidance around their lived experience so I can do my job better. Yeah, I think
That's really well equipped, right?
Yeah.
I want to take you back where you mentioned something about seeing the men and feeling I don't want to talk about the nervousness with the role because everybody gets nervousness when you start a new role, but when there's a leadership big role and you just, you're going to have this big team you need to look after. But I'm talking about the aspect of feeling that inadequate because it looks like it's a male dominant role.
Yeah.
And then am I equipped to do this male dominant role? What were you thinking? Was it just more like men felt more superior, more suitable for the role? I put a, clear white man for the role for an ED for such an organization rather than you. So is this coming from social cultural aspect, or was it just coming the way we feel that men should be seen as superior in power? Or what's the dynamic? What's going on? I just want to, bring the audience in, and I want to get more into that intake, if you know what I mean.
I think we are historically socialized and groomed to see certain people in power. That's just the reality. Whether it's advertising, whether it's schools, whether it's family systems, we are constantly propagated this idea about what a certain gender can do and which gender is associated with power, economy, and money. And so growing up, you see these images and it further reinforces this idea that I'm distant from that or that I may not have the capacity to get there. And I think that there are lots of systems that continue to propagate that. For example, systems of like white supremacy, systems of gender inequity, misogyny. I think they're all designed to continue to tell us about what we can't do rather than what we can do.
So true. So true.
I also think, what's that? It's kind of like this like ghost inferior complex. What's it called?
Inferiority complex?
No. I'm telling
when
you.
I heard complex,
no, pregnancy brain
describe it.
Pregnancy brain is wild, I tell you. It's just like energy.
We're going to talk about that since you've mentioned it.
I know.
Soon.
I'm excited to be a parent. I never thought I wanted to be one. And then actually being a leader made me want to be one.
So, I like that excitement to becoming a parent because that's a total different kind of leadership, right? And you need to also kind of find ways to create those boundaries and everything like that with your child, right? So being an executive and being like, if this is an unfiltered, a badass boss,
Thank
which
you so much.
the way you present yourself, the way you stand there, so you give speeches, power woman, and no surprise with the Power 50 award you got, with Vancouver Magazine. That was really well deserved, and congratulations again. We were talking earlier about, kids and, boundaries and leadership and parenting. You are a new parent now. You're going into a new chapter. What has been playing in your head in terms of how am I going to parent this child with so much love, but also create a boundary? All I know is being leadership at work. Yeah. How am I going to bring this with this child? But, there's this tendency like I just want to hold and cuddle and, spoil my kid. And I'm feeling like,
that's not me.
I've done that past. No, that was me. And I suffer the consequences because you just don't spoil the kids and give them everything they want. You create those boundaries,
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it comes from a place of trauma response. Like for me with my own childhood, where I want to protect my kids and make sure they just have everything that they want, that they need and want. But that was a wrong move in some aspect. Some aspect was amazing. Those holidays and theme parks and doing stuff and, being there for them in their music recital or sport game or anything like that. That was great. But I went above and beyond. And I think I actually got burnt out from parenting. So, in your own book, because every new parent has a parenting book in their head.
Right.
Can you release a little bit for us?
Great question.
And congratulations on the new chapter too.
One day we'll talk about my fertility journey, but that's another conversation.
We will bring you back. Yeah. Promise.
Okay, so I love my work. Like deeply love my work. Like I love getting up and going to work. I love interacting with our staff and volunteers. I love interacting with our communities. The excitement my brain gets in developing a program, there's nothing close to it for me. I actually have like real FOMO about leaving my job. Yeah, because I think like I'm grateful to take the time aside to be a parent, and everyone is lovingly reminding me that this is a unique life experience and I should do that.
It is.
And I'm looking forward to receiving that, but I'm going to miss my job. I'm going to miss my work because
that's natural.
Totally. Because to me, it's not like I'm doing this for necessarily the paycheck. I'm doing it because I love our industry. I love services. I love hoping to create a better environment of health and change for someone. And so I feel stepping away from that to do this childhood gig, I am leaving something aside. And so for me, having this kid is actually pretty selfish. Because I'm excited to see how this is going to change me.
I love this conversation.
Yeah, it's super selfish. Everybody, I remember before I decided of whether I wanted to be a parent or not, I asked people like who did or did not have kids, like what were life choices? Was this a regret that you had? Was there, additional work or labor that maybe you didn't see that you ended up having to do? Was this worth it?
Good question, but it's worth it.
I think for some people it's worth it. And I think for me, I'm doing this selfishly because I'm excited to see how this child will change me. And I think that's...
Because I was going to ask that question from the selfish aspect.
Yeah.
So you don't want the child to change you?
Yes.
And why do you think the child is going to change you? You're going to be a mother. That's a new title for sure.
Because I think when you are put in situations where you have to teach or grow or provide structure, it is natural for it to influence you. I'm going to do less for this child than what this child will do for me. My job is to keep it alive, fed, emotionally nurtured and loved, right? But what this child will bring to me in my life is like so much more, right? That I am so grateful that the universe is giving me an opportunity to grow and change.
It's just not because of the title, your professional role. Is that kind of like, is that coming, is like running into the whole aspect of what motherhood is going to look for you, your brain is going fast and thinking because
I've planted this fucking
your
kid's like out for a
industry is
year.
very huge and there's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And all you've been doing is nurturing, protecting, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Q-Munity. Let's bring it in.
Okay.
Because there's been a lot of talks and, about, talking about transgender and everything like that.
Yeah.
And less support for people who feel like they're coming to feel what they're feeling and everyone should accept it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you what brought you into the role, because what brought you into the role, like we spoke, where is your talent and your ability to do the work, and, where you need to change policy and create awareness and education, provide resources and all that, you're doing that. But what are the challenges, like you now becoming a parent, right? What are you feeling in terms of your role? You know what I mean? Like, I am ED Q-Munity, where I'm protecting these amazing humans. And look at me, I'm going to be a mother.
Yeah.
What do you feel? Like, do you think how moms to those amazing humans you look after, do you now try and travel into who they are, what they feel, and in terms of your baby coming? If you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. I get it. So we're in history right now. We are in a place where, queer, trans, and two-spirit people are experiencing higher rates of hate crime, higher rates of homelessness, higher rates of food insecurity, higher rates of discrimination. There is a very tangible sense of homophobia, queerphobia, transphobia that exists. Part of it is political. I mean, we look to our neighbors. Their president, if that's what you want to call him, is very vocal about the erasure and hate that his administration spews. And when someone is so vocal like that, that trickles down into like policy, right? You see systemic change happening in Canada. For example, the federal fund, Women and Gender Equity, that supports a lot of QS LGBTQIA organizations all throughout Canada, is seeing a reneging in funding. So whether we want to accept it or not, the lives of queer and trans folks are really impacted severely, whether it's policy or public spaces, because of the misinformation and because of the hatred that gets spewed online. When I think about being a parent, I think about like, now is the time, whether or not you have, a queer kiddo, or whether or not you are queer yourself, that as humanity, we say, what are our basics that we want to be able to protect?
Yeah.
Every human being deserves to have safe employment.
And deserve to be alive.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the first thing.
Oh, that is also true.
Because mental health is a huge part of all of this.
Yeah, there are lots of places that prosecute to us LGBTQI plus folks where you can't step outside your home without being, threatened or killed. We also all deserve a warm place to sleep. We also all deserve food, that the basics that we need to live. We also all deserve love and affection and community, and we all deserve an opportunity to heal ourselves through our stories.
Yeah, 100%.
And whether or not you politically align with the way of the world right now, to me is pointless. It's about really stepping up and saying, hey, I have a responsibility to my neighbor next door. And if my neighbor is being prosecuted, or if my neighbor is experiencing hate, what can I do to leverage my little bit of privilege or my little bit of power to ensure that this person has the basics in life? And so as a parent, now I think about whatever my kiddo's journey might be, that I want them to, one, have the resilience and strength to be like, hey, however the world may describe me or experience me, I know who I am true to be.
Well, that's powerful.
Because I think when you know who you are, when you have loved ones who affirm you, and when you have community spaces that see you, I think
you grow wings, you could fly, you can do anything.
You build a sense of resiliency.
Yeah, that is so deep, Anoop, really deep. So I know you mentioned something about the misinterpretation, about the transgender community and queer community. Do you want to talk more so that people who don't understand and who can learn from you being an amazing leader and going to be a new mom soon, and what that acceptance feel like and what is that misinterpretation, what they need to understand so they can get it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, my first thing I always say to everyone has the right to be alive.
Yeah.
And our human default is love, empathy, compassion, and kindness. And please don't bring religion into it, I tell people, because if you want to bring religion into it, the first thing religion, all the book of God, the first thing it says is love. Love is all the word that comes out more in the Bible and the Quran, more about humanity. So we are not God, and we shouldn't act as one as humans and discriminate or hate another human because of our beliefs. If your beliefs is to worship God and serve Him, then you should love another human, no matter who they are, because they're not animals, they're humans, and animals are equally loved, and we don't discriminate them.
There's a guiding principle I have that my grandmother gave me when we were growing up. So I am, in terms of like religious identity, I'm a Sikh. And I remember she used to tell me, like, we would walk by a plant and she would say, oh, what's the spirit of that plant is also this in you. Or we would walk by somebody who maybe didn't look like me and she would say, oh, what is in you, what makes you a beautiful human being is also in that person. And I think that that's like kind of what has been really a big part of how I see humanity. It's like we have so many similarities amongst us, but we so deeply concentrate on the things that are divisive between us.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was an example of misinformation, especially when it comes to schools. I think everybody maybe under the sun has heard about this like cat litter example or like animal litter example in schools, right? There was some strategic lie that was placed by a group, often, people who have anti-trans, anti-queer rhetoric, that there is a school out there that allows children to use cat litter or cat boxes, whatever the case may be, in schools, right? That is an example of a strategic misinformation. So then this little lie gets propagated, and misinformation campaigns really have very widespread networks. And so then you trigger parents, and every parent, every person who has, is a caregiver wants the best for their kids, right?
100%.
And so that lie really triggers the emotion of you as a caregiver. And next thing you know, you are spreading it through all these parents, all these teachers, that there is a school that is allowing someone to use a cat litter. One, it's purposeful. It's a lie. Two, I would let someone send me an email where this is happening. It doesn't happen. It doesn't, I've not seen it once. I've not heard of it once.
So there's a lot of propaganda and
exactly
misinformation out there, and people believe this misinformation, and the moment they just take it with an eat and attack mode.
And then because there's you are purposefully trying to entice or enrage parents, because every parent thinks their child is vulnerable and like wants to protect them. You now have parents who are believing in this lie. If you go to these schools that are like anti-surgery, for example, or parents who are anti-surgery, and you ask them basics, do you know what the surgery curriculum is? Most often than not, they don't know it. If you ask them, or they'll mention this like cat litter example, they'll be like, well, I've heard that there's the surgery curriculum, there's like something associated with like cat litter. How are kids using this in schools? And you can even pull on that string to be like, where did you hear this? These lies are purposefully designed to intense rage.
To attack, and then it causes more harm.
Yeah. And so you see all these parents who are spiraling that their kids have perhaps an unconventional school environment, and then they get angry.
Yeah. I've had people come to me, a lot of parents say, listen, I'm okay with an adult feeling they want to change their gender or anything. That's fine. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then a lot of parents will come and say, I'm not okay with my young child to talk about changing gender because they're still young.
Okay.
So they should go for counseling, or they should do this and they should do that. They're probably not ready to understand that they want to change their gender.
Sure.
So in terms of the adult and the young ones, where does that come in? What is the balance here? Like, I'm not a counselor. I don't have the answer to that. All I can say is, if someone feels like they feel trapped in a different way or body, like, respect that. But what do you thinking? Is there for any listener who wants to get clarity, because I get asked these questions a lot, is there any specific age range where this sort of age, no, we will just cancel you until you get to this age and then we can talk to you about?
Yeah.
I love the way you answered that.
I mean, sometimes it's like we're so easy to believe that adults have a lot of autonomy and the children don't.
Some adults are still like children, right?
I'm glad you said it and I didn't.
I did say that. It's Unfiltered with Mariat, remember?
Children are quite powerful, very insightful, right? They're self-aware. We have to think of good intention when it comes to how much they're learning and where they're learning from. And I'm not sure I know the two particulars because, again, I'm not a child psychologist. There are some very competent, well-rounded counselors that are doing gender affirmation with kiddos. You can reach out to Q-Munity if you needed to find a counselor. We have youth programs that help.
I'm happy you said that because I really wanted you to say that.
If you go to community.ca or if you send us an email, we can always connect parents to different peer groups or
and there's counseling for parents too and for the children, right? So
So I won't belabor the point in trying to explain like when someone's gender journey starts. I think it's for everyone. It's a different spectrum.
It's Unfiltered with Mariat. We're going to bring you back here. Maybe bring you back with that little amazing, beautiful human coming. But thank you for taking the time to speak with us. And
thank you.
It's just been a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you. Yes, that's an Anoop sign.
That is. That's very me.